This gambit will spoil your mind. For now, I'm calling this the Fianchetto Gambit Pro Max. Or you can call it the Modern Gambit Pro Max. This is why you sacrifice two of your major king pawns on the king side. That'll be the g6 and the f5. But you don't start with pawn to g6. See, after pawn to d4, instead of playing g6 followed by pawn to f5, as we do in the normal Fianchetto Gambit, I propose you start with f5 right away. Originally, this is called the Duras Gambit, but we are not going to do anything Duras. Point is, after pawn takes, we don't want to go knight f6, which is the main Duras. We just want to sacrifice another pawn on the king side. And after fg, the top played move, this is when we recapture with our pawn. Now you will see that the most played move in this position is actually pawn to d4. Some people start with knight f3, it doesn't matter. Moves will transpose. After d4, this is when you want to go pawn to d5. And this is where you might see people going bishop d3. And just like that, we are back to my modern gambit if you think about it. Note how I'm interchanging these words. Fianchetto Gambit, modern gambit, Fianchetto Gambit. I just use the word modern because this can also arise from the modern defense, and then you change your mind, transpose into a gambit. But the actual name is actually Fianchetto Gambit, by the way. What did I say? From here, you play queen d6 to protect your g6 pawn and also stopping bishop f4 move. I win a lot of games with this gambit, you guys. And in case you think I'm joking, I'll prove you wrong because I'm going to challenge a random chess player on Lichess and play this same stuff just to show you how it works. I win a lot of games very fast, trust me. So keep this position in your mind because I want to start the opening moves again. We can also reach that position from the normal Fianchetto Gambit after e4, then we go g6, then d4. This is what people play, by the way, because they think we want to play the normal modern gambit or transpose back to the peers. But this is when we can surprise them with a move pawn to f5. And point is, after pawn takes, we still go pawn to d4. They still take on g6, and then this is when we take back. They attack our vulnerable pawn, but this is when we go queen d6. Remember what I said? Protecting the g6 pawn and also preventing white from playing bishop f4. This is actually the same position that I asked you guys to keep in mind, arising from a different angle. So, noticing that we are targeting the h2 pawn, most white players here play knight f3. It looks natural. But what they don't know is we can actually pin that knight. And even if they play pawn to h3, they can't take our bishop due to rook takes. So we just continue with our main plan. Knight c6, attacking the d4 pawn. Most of my opponents here play pawn to c3, after which I go pawn to e5. You get it? I want you to see how the evil bar is going to shift to black's favor from here. This is one of those openings we use to troll our opponent. So just to make fun of our opponent, saying, hey man, I can do whatever I want in the opening stage and you can't do a thing. And seriously, white can't do a thing unless they are using Stockfish or any other engine to play. You see, beating this dubious gambit requires somebody to be super accurate all the way up to the end. You can't make one mistake or one slight error and hope to come back. No, that's not how this works. So after e5, white may take, and after this, feel free to take back. Now in this position, there are two popular moves you are going to see: bishop e2 and queen e2. Whatever white does here, just take the knight. Because if you don't do so, let's say you just castle long like this, you are going to lose material after knight takes e5. I mean, this is now under real threat. They are going to take with the bishop, that'll be check. So this is to say, if white plays bishop e2 or queen e2, just take this knight to neutralize the attack. And once they take, you want to keep your knight right here. The pawn you want to protect is the d5 pawn, like this. White can't take because your pawn is now defended twice. Now, our quick plan from here goes as follows. After castle shot, the dark squared bishop goes to h6 to challenge white's dark squared bishop. Your king's knight goes to e7 and finally to f5, given a chance. But things may change. You see, when you play bishop h6, oftentimes your opponents are going to take. If they don't take, you can follow it up with moves like knight e7, knight f5. Or at this point, since there is no light squared bishop to take your g6 pawn, you can even develop it in a normal way. Anywho, bishop takes, knight takes. The final destination of our knight is the f5 square. Now that's not our main goal. Remember that this is an opposite side castle game. So we are going to start attacking from the king side as soon as we can, even if it means getting rid of our g-pawn to open up the king side. What most of my opponents here do is to go knight d2, developing a piece. This allows me to go g5. And after something like bishop e2, you can play pawn to g4. All you want is to open up the position. On the next move, you might even consider to take h4, just an example. A lot of things that you can do here. King b8 is okay to secure your king, rook d f8, and all those stuffs. For example, I'd play king b8 here. I'm just running away from any possible danger. If this, I can even go knight f5. There could be some sacrifices here. What can they even do? Oh, this time they think they can take. This is what I'm talking about. You have moves like knight takes h4. You can sacrifice your knight here, by the way, and nothing white to do. Let's say pawn takes. Now we take, because next we're going to pin the queen to the king. Oh, just do it this other way. After bishop takes, you take, and if queen takes, you still go rook d g8. If white takes your knight, you go rook takes g3. This is check, by the way. If white plays any of those moves, that'll be checkmate in 2. If pawn takes, you go queen takes g3 and mate in 2, like this. All we needed to do is to sacrifice all of our pieces from the king side and deliver a checkmate that looks like this. So this is the Fianchetto Gambit at its best. Again, it may arise from what I'm calling the Fianchetto Gambit Pro Max. Playing pawn to f5 on the first move. Why? Who am I? Now let me address another issue where white may play bishop d3 very early before you wake up. See, after pawn takes g6, pawn takes and pawn takes, instead of white playing pawn to d4, you might see this move bishop d3 very early on. Again, remember this is a gambit. In fact, a very crazy and dubious gambit. So here we don't mind playing king f7 at best. At worst, we might even consider to go rook h6. Why rook h6? Because white cannot attack our rook with their bishop. The last squad bishop is badly placed. Now, I do understand you will see some people playing queen g4 in this position. If they do this, well and good. Don't be tempted to go pawn to d5 yet, thinking you are indirectly attacking the queen. That'll backfire. They will take this pawn, and that'll be check, by the way. So you will have no time to win their queen. So just go king f7. That's why I said you can start with king f7. It's not much of a stretch. Let's just say white plays knight f3 because they want to give a check. What else can they do? Yes, you can go pawn to d6, but that'll be a 1-0 move, right? Here I recommend you go knight c6. This stops that check. And I mean, knight g5 again is just a sheer waste of time. Check how the evil bar is getting back up in favor of black. This is just to show you how deceiving this gambit can be. So here you can safely go king g7. There's nothing white can do to your soul. Going by the top played moves, people play pawn to b3 here, probably wanting to attack from this angle. But again, see the evil bar, you guys. This is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the Fianchetto Gambit. It only takes one normal looking move, which is actually a mistake, for you to get back to the game. Now the evil bar is back to equal and we are just back to a normal game. Here, you can play pawn to e5 if you want. After bishop b2, you then follow it up with d6 if you want, knowing you're going to take, but I find bishop e7 to be more solid, just attacking that, right? And to be honest, they have to go back. They play knight f3 most of the times. I mean, if pawn to h4, we can just take. That's just a free knight, because if queen takes, we have queen takes, and after pawn takes, we have rook takes. That'll be check. So this is how deceiving this gambit can be, you guys. So they have to play knight f3, and this puts us back in the game. As you can tell by the evil bar, now it's negative 2.2 in favor of black. So here you just go bishop f6 to seal the deal, and that's it. You just protected your pawn, right? What else can they do? See how this one bishop misplacement delayed white's development. Never put your pieces in front of pawns. Just to make a point, let's say white castles short. This is when you can go d5 and it's already bad. The queen is under attack. Queen g3, pawn to e4. One piece has to die. Bishop takes. Just an example. Here I would even take back with the queen attacking that rook, but knight takes f6 seems to be interesting. And That's it. So against the early bishop d3 line, you can just go king f7 and start organizing your pieces like this, play knight c6, or anything stable that you can just protect this pawn. There's nothing white is going to do, trust me. Even if they play queen f3 here, you can just cover that with knight f6. Again, say knight h3, because what else can they do? You can see by the eval bar, we are getting back to equality. So we go e5 in this position, also stopping that. Again, knight g5. I mean, what are they going to do? There is no checkmate. It is actually moves like these which brings back into the game. If you think about it, look at the eval bar, 0.5. As if the game is just starting. King g7, what else can they do? They can't develop their dark square bishop normally. Let's say knight c3 this time. Here we even have time to go pawn to d5. We're going to attack something there. They have to play something like queen g3 to avoid a fork. But now we can still go e4. Look, all of a sudden we are up, back in the game again, leading by negative 1.0. What this tells you about this gambit is it's so deceiving. This is one of those openings you use to bait your opponent, like giving them a lollipop in exchange for chocolate. So in the opening stage, you kind of give your opponent a bit of some advantage which they cannot even convert. This is what I do, especially to kids and newbies, even strong players, just to try and prove a point. So what I'm going to do next is to play a random game just to cement whatever I've covered in this short tutorial, showing you that this is playable and winnable. Now check this out, you guys. If you want to learn more about these kinds of tricks or similar opening ideas like the ones I just shared, you can watch this video that has popped up on the top left. Another video that I highly recommend you check out to skyrocket your rating is this one that has popped up on the top right. But if you love gambit videos, you can check out the video that has popped up on the bottom left. And if you are a lover of chess traps like myself, feel free to click on the video that has popped up on the bottom right.